All right, y'all. Welcome to the Sports Debaters podcast, NBA Talk today. Basically, what we're going to talk about, we're going to catch up with what's been going on with the NBA for the past couple of weeks. Of course, we had Christmas, we had New Year's, so we had to take a couple of days off. Take a couple of weeks off, because family is everything, family over everything. Uh, but I want to jump on. Oh yeah, this your boy July holding it down. Sports Debaters Podcast Network. Check us out every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. We talking the NBA on Sunday. Check us out every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. We talking the NFL. What's up, cuz?
What's happening? What's happening?
How you been doing, man?
Same old, same old.
How was your Christmas, man?
I mean, besides getting COVID for Christmas, it was good.
Oh damn. That's what's up. That's what's up. We're gonna talk a little basketball while we're waiting on James coaching ball to come through. He said he's gonna come through. But the first thing I want to talk about, of course, I want to talk about the Lakers. Now I talked to shout out to Cal Rip in the group. I talked to Rip about Russell Westbrook.
Right.
Uh, he basically was saying he liked Russell Westbrook getting his triple doubles. He liked Russell Westbrook. He a Russell Westbrook guy. He like. But basically, I was telling him that it was never about the triple doubles with Russell Westbrook. If he could give you high assists and low turnovers, that's better than a triple double, honestly. I think that's the winning formula on the Lakers. If he could give you 12, 13 assists, 2, 3 turnovers, I think that's the winning formula.
But
But
that's
if he
always
get
been the formula for Russell Westbrook.
but if he give you 12 assists and then like 8 turnovers, but I don't know I don't know what's up. But do you think the Lakers have figured it out, putting LeBron running full, Stanley Johnson in the lineup, both of them switching the 5 positions? You think they figured it out with that lineup?
Uh, the Lakers have found something they can utilize going forward. They haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
They found things that work and some things that they figured out how to play with this and how to play with that, and players who can function and help them win games. I see all these posts on like Twitter and stuff like that. It's like, oh, LeBron James at the 5 and they're doing this, and what's Westbrook doing this. Is like, I don't want to take away from what they're doing, but at the same time, it's like just the same energy people give to other teams. You gotta get the same energy to the Lakers, whoever they played. So LeBron James playing center, like the first game he started at center, they played against the Rockets. Like the starting center for the Rockets is Christian Woods, who's 6'9", 215. It's like, yeah, he the center, but I mean, he ain't no, Joel Embiid or nothing like that. So he's like, okay, he's center. And then uh they played Sacramento and LeBron James playing center minutes. He playing against Damian Jones. It's like, it's like he's not playing against like centers. So it works, but at the same time, it's like for Russell Westbrook, it's useful for Russell Westbrook the same way it was useful for Russell Westbrook to have PJ Tucker playing center when they was with the Rockets. You can't have the traditional big in there because of how Russell Westbrook plays. But I've watched a couple of Lakers games lately, and I see them at the end. And what they do is, I don't want to say they take Russell Westbrook out the offense, but if LeBron James in the game, they limit what Russell Westbrook does, because if we can cut down the turnovers for Russell Westbrook, then we're fine. We cut down second chance points. We cut down, transition offense for the other team, stuff like that. It's like Russell Westbrook been having triple doubles for years now. He did for what, 3 straight years in OKC, and they finished bottom half of the Western Conference. They made the playoffs, but they didn't get to the playoffs, and it's first round knockout. It's like, so those triple doubles ain't really doing that for him. It's just, is it winning basketball? The winning basketball for Russell Westbrook is low turnovers. The rest of his numbers really don't matter. If he cannot have high turnovers, then whatever else Russell Westbrook is doing is winning basketball. He can be shoot bad because some of these games he shoot bad. He can shoot bad. He can only give you a handful of assists. But if he got low turnovers, then it's winning basketball for Russell Westbrook because that's always the Achilles heel. Because if he turn it over, it's almost like he goes out of his way to redeem himself, and then he makes like a bad shot or does some bad offense afterwards. So I think low turnovers for Russell Westbrook is still the goal, and I don't want the Lakers to get comfortable thinking, "Oh man, this the winning formula." Like they gotta think about who they play, because you're gonna get comfortable, then you don't make trades that you need to make in the at the trade deadline, and then you're right back to where you started. It's like, okay, now you're 2 games over 500. Great. There was 2 games over 500 before, and then they lost a bunch of games back to back to back, and they went back under 500. So we've seen this story before. Can they maintain it for the second half of the season? Is a whole nother question. We don't have answers to that yet.
Well, see, from what I seen and what I'm looking at right now, I don't mind if Russell Westbrook gonna be shooting 4 for 14 from the field. I don't mind that if he not giving you turnovers. like he be like people clown his shooting or whatever. I don't care. If you, I don't care if you miss those shots, but if you missing those shots and you turning the ball over, I mean, what you on the court for?
And that's the thing for Russell Westbrook. It's like none of his other numbers really matter if he can give you low turnovers. It's like 4 for 14 shoot and they win the game. Why? Because he ain't got a bunch of turnovers. Um, he might go 1 for 6 on 3 pointers. Doesn't matter if he ain't got a lot of turnovers. They might still be winning that game. It's like take away like the most effective Russell Westbrook is probably Russell Westbrook with the ball, but in winning moments, if you got somebody else to take the ball out of Russell Westbrook in, you might want to do that. It's like they had Horton Tucker, that was running the offense through him in the third quarter. It's like because he was making shots. It's like feed the high hand. I don't care if Russell Westbrook in the game. Don't give him the ball if he's not the high hand. It's like, they go keep passing the ball to Malik Monk. If he go make shots, great. You don't need to pass the ball to Russell Westbrook. It's like maybe the winning formula for the Lakers is occasionally taking offense away from Russell Westbrook and saving Russell Westbrook from himself. I think
Coach,
it's
what's up, Coach? How was your Christmas, Coach?
What's good with it, folks? Man, Christmas was lovely, man. The kids enjoyed themselves, and that's all that mattered to me. So it was great, man. How
that's
about
That's what's
yourself?
up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, we were just talking about your Lakers. Basically, I was just asking Jared, has the Lakers figured something out with this, with this lineup with LeBron and Stanley Johnson switching from 4 to 5, with taking the ball out of Russell Westbrook hands a lot. What you think is the winning formula for the Lakers?
Uh, Honestly, part of that is keeping Westbrook hands off the basketball. That's a big part of it. Again, I always love his heart, his tenacity, but again, I'll say it 1,000 times. Westbrook has never played winning basketball. Yes, he can accumulate a lot of stats. He could, excuse me,
Bless you.
God bless the truth. Thank you. He accumulates great numbers. And in today's NBA, if you have the ball in your hands enough, excuse me, Jesus,
Bless you.
you're gonna put up enough. You're gonna put up numbers. It is what it is. But Westbrook doesn't play winning basketball. Have the Lakers found a lineup and or a pipeline to success that is yet to be seen? Here's what the Lakers have. Lakers have a top 5 player of all time. They have LeBron James, who is what is known as the great equalizer. As many deficiencies as your basketball team can have, as many as untalented as you may seem, let's just say it like that. That may not be the case with the Lakers, but LeBron makes up for a lot of those things. He's been taking over a lot of games late. He's been making some great plays. He's been keeping the Lakers in it. Stanley Johnson is a breath of fresh air for us. Malik Monk just had a career high. Again, they're starting to gel a little bit, but it's a very small sample size. I do think that Westbrook needs to be traded by the deadline. I really don't care what we get back. We can send him to Orlando for a lifetime pass of Disney tickets, a ball rack, and a couple of extra jerseys, and I'll be just fine with that. But I do think that if the fact that we have to save him from himself tells you everything. I hope the Kings are still desperate to get rid of him, and maybe we can still get Buddy Hield out of the deal. But again, I think that the less Westbrook, the better. And again, there's going to be times and there's going to be games that he's going to put up his 30 points, 8 assists, 9 rebounds, or have a triple double. I'm not saying he's a scrub or he can't play, but again, he just doesn't play consistent winning basketball. Hopefully, my Lakers are figured out. I doubt it. I just don't see it long term because I just don't think LeBron can give you 46 and 47 high quality minutes for the next 4.5 months and still be healthy for the playoffs. The last couple of years, we've seen what happens to LeBron when he puts that load on himself. Injury happens. It's Father Time. He's undefeated. And again, like I said, we hope for the best, but I'm in a wait and see mode right now.
I heard Shannon Sharp say this a couple of weeks ago. He said Westbrook, he's that player that's gonna take a scrub team. You put him on a scrub team, he's gonna make them a playoff contender, which is a good thing. But if you put Westbrook on a good team, he's that player that's gonna hold them back from being a championship contender. Do y'all agree with that?
100%. Like I say, in today's NBA, if you have the ball in your hands enough, you're gonna score points. You're gonna put up a lot of points. You're gonna and assist. Just because we had that discussion a while back. Just because you get a lot of assists, that doesn't make you a playmaker. That just means people made a shot when you gave them the ball. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna put up a lot of stats, especially if you go look at some of his usage rates when he had that scrub team in Oklahoma City. He had like the third highest usage rate of the last 7 years when he was at Oklahoma City because he had the basketball in his hand for 20 seconds of every 24 second shot clock. But again, he's what I call the irrational confidence guy, and I usually use that for my bench guys: Bobby Jackson, Jason Terry, Deshaun Stevenson, Lance Stevenson. These are guys that are 6 men. These are guys that come off the bench, but they have that irrational confidence to where when they get in the game, this is my court, this is my chance to shine, and that's what you want from your 6 man to lead your second unit. You want him to be all the confidence in the world because when your starters on the bench, you want them to feel like this is my chance to shine, this is my chance to get these buckets. But Westbrook has that irrational confidence when he's not even the best player on the court at the same time. He thought he was the best player on the team when he had Kevin Durant. He thought he was the best player on the team when he had Paul George. He thought he was the best player on the team when he's on a team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. That is his issue. That is his problem. Hell, he thought he was the best player when he was with James Harden. So again, he's that irrational confidence guy. If you put him on the Orlando Magic right now, I have no doubt that the Orlando Magic would fight to get in the playoff tournament. I have no doubt in my mind. You'd have some amazing games from Russell Westbrook. You'll have some 40 and 50-point games, and you're gonna have some games where he's 9 for 30. He will have them fighting for playoff contention. But again, you see him now. You put him on a playoff team, and he's gonna hold them back. That's why that damn dumbass post from the new guy talking about if you put Russell Westbrook on the Golden State Warriors instead of Kevin Durant, the same thing happens. It's like,
I think I remember what you're talking about. I'm gonna try to find it.
Are you serious? Like, are you fucking serious? You know, he's a chemistry killer. Again, he's the guy that, again, you love his heart, you love his competitiveness, you love his drive, but you just don't love the way he plays basketball.
Russell, to Shannon Sharp point, Russell Westbrook on a team, I don't think makes your team a playoff contender. It makes them playoff relevant. But
Yeah,
you look at those teams, it's like they're not contenders. Those 3 years in OKC without Kevin Durant is like, yeah, he averaged a triple double, and then they got to the first round and they looked like what you thought they looked like. Even them making it to the playoffs, they were making it the sixth seed, the seventh seed, the bottom, the second half of the Western Conference. They wasn't looking at, they didn't have home court advantage in these series, and so you facing a young Donovan Mitchell, and he giving you work in the playoffs. It's like that wasn't supposed to happen. It's like even when he got to Washington, it's like okay, they relevant in the playoffs, and they had to make the playoffs by winning play-in tournaments. It's like if it was a regular season, it's like they wouldn't have been in the playoffs. It's like so it's relevant because of course he has the ball in his hand. He's exciting to watch. He got one speed. You can win games like that. But in the playoffs, some things tend to slow down. Some things tend to speed up. It's like the game changes because you play the same team for at least 4 games, sometimes 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. So there's always a constant adjustment that you got to make against that team, and the team makes against you. And Russell Westbrook plays the same way. So that means that the team is always making the same adjustment to defend Russell Westbrook, and that's how they beat them in the playoffs. It's like make Russell Westbrook his own worst enemy, and we can win this series. And they do it every time.
Hey, anybody who is watching the podcast on Facebook, allow StreamYard access to your Facebook, so whenever you make a comment, we could actually see who you are making these comments instead of it saying Facebook user.
nah, let that one go because that was the one of the dumbest statements made in Facebook comment history. That person needs to stay anonymous because we don't need to know this. We don't
I
need
was
to know
gonna
who
let him
that.
have it, man.
We don't even know who did. We don't need to know. Stay in obscurity.
Hey, Ace 30 said he disagreed with the Westbrook assessment, and he's saying PG is the primary reason they lost to the Jazz in Portland. Let me get this one, y'all. Let me take this one.
Is
Ace
he talking
30.
about undercover Scottie Pippen? We can't
Ace
trust his
30.
basketball assessments.
If you don't know Ace 30, I'm a huge Carmelo Anthony fan, and I actually followed OKC that year that they got Carmelo and Paul George. And that was the year they played the Jazz. That was that year they played the Jazz in the playoffs. Uh, Westbrook did go. He did have it. He did have his moments in Game 5 when they made that 26-point comeback. I think it was. He did. He had a great Game 6 where Paul George didn't show up, but they didn't lose the series in Game 5 or Game 6. They lost the series in Game 2, 3, and 4 when Westbrook was trying to prove something that he was better than Ricky Rubio. And with him trying to prove that he was better than Ricky Rubio, he made dumb shots, dumb passes, and he was just trying to show the world that he was better. I mean, we all know that he's better than Ricky Rubio, but he was trying to prove at that point by doing uncharacteristic. Well, I'm not gonna say uncharacteristic things. He was doing Russell Westbrook things, and they lost Game 2 at home, Game 3, and after Game 3, he said something about Ricky Rubio talking about watch next game or something, and Ricky Rubio came out next game and played a hell of a game. Now
That was a
Game
27-point game, huh?
Five,
Rubio
Somebody
lit
now
his ass up.
Game 5, Westbrook and Paul George did lead the comeback in OKC, and Game 6, Paul George didn't show up at all. I will give you that, but they lost the series at Game 2, 3, and 4 when Russell Westbrook was trying to outplay Ricky Rubio. And then the next year when they played Portland, Russell Westbrook was trying to outshoot, go shot for shot with Damian Leonard. like,
Oh yeah.
like so, like I don't. Russell Westbrook, he got to take some responsibilities. Like he just not like Shannon Sharp said. He's that guy that's going to take a mediocre team and make him a playoff contender. But you can't put him on a playoff contender and make them a championship contender.
It's just not Russell Westbrook. It's like even if you want to put blame on Paul George, which by all means do that. However, it's Russell Westbrook team, or it's supposed to be Russell Westbrook team. So as the leader, as the head of the snake, you take a lot of responsibilities by default because that's supposed to be your team. You, especially at the point guard position, you're supposed to be the one to calm everything down. You're supposed to be the one to regroup everybody, and they need to let them know what's going on and how to play this better and how to do this better. It's like um in the finals last year, where Chris Paul got hurt in one of those games, and Devin Booker had to go back to being the primary ball handler, and they lost the lead, and I believe they lost the game. It's like Chris Paul wasn't there to put up numbers. Chris Paul was there to calm them down, especially a team that was new to playoffs in general. Even though Chris Paul ain't never made it to the finals, but none of them people on that team never made it to the playoffs. So they were not used to getting leads and stuff like that, and they had to be calmed down. Like, hey, wait a minute, let's regroup. Let's not take these shots. Let's scale it back. That was Russell Westbrook supposed to be to that team. It don't matter if Paul George, because Paul George, before he got to OKC, Paul George been there. He played a couple of conference finals in Indiana. He just ran to LeBron James Miami Heat team twice. It's like, so he's been there before, and he's played well in the playoffs before. I mean, he ruined himself by calling himself playoff P, and then the very next game you play like trash. But still, again, Russell Westbrook team, you're supposed to be the leader of the team. That don't just include numbers. You're supposed to calm everybody down, especially the point guard position. And he didn't do that. He was trying to prove himself against players like Ricky Rubio that people knew that you were superior to. So you didn't have to go out there and try to prove something to Ricky Rubio. And you don't shoot like Damian Lillard. So you don't need to go shot for shot for Damian Lillard. That was unnecessary. So in early games in the series, and you're trying to do that, that's where you lose games. So later in the series, you can blame it on somebody else for having a bad game. Well, maybe if you didn't have to get the game 6, if you won game 2, you wouldn't have these problems. So,
Hey, shout out to Winslow. He just sent me. He's sending me his cipher for the Sports Debaters third annual award show. They're gonna have a bunch of ciphers on this one, fellas. So y'all make sure y'all tune in. That the Sports Debaters third annual award show gonna be the Sunday following the Super Bowl. So y'all make sure to check that out. Make sure to check that out. Uh, I want to get into this next topic because it's kind of been bothering me. Now, I honestly think Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA. But when they play the Bucks, it's like Giannis is coming, bro. If he not already there, like I watched some of that game last night. I had a bunch of Sheba stuff going on, but I was able to catch a lot of that game. Giannis is coming. Uh, Coach, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Do you think Giannis is on the same level as KD, or he passed him up, or is he still under him?
He's still under KD, man. And again, you are right, man. I watched a game, I think it was 2 nights ago, when Giannis went for like 30, when he had a triple double, when he had like 38, 12, and 9, 8, and 11, if I'm not mistaken. Look, Giannis is a beast, bro. Like, now he's starting to add the mid-range touch to it. His three-point is not consistent, but it's getting there. Man, he's special. But Kevin Durant is just different, bro. Like, he's just different. Like, again, I call Kevin Durant a unicorn. He's 7 feet. He handles like a point. He shoots with the best of them. He literally can get to any spot on the court that he wants. His defense upticked the last year. He's becoming a better facilitator and playmaker. Like, he's doing everything that you could ask for him. And again, he's one big toe away from playing in the NBA Finals with by himself, literally carrying a vagabond team to the goddamn NBA Finals. That showed you yesterday. That should last year showed you what Kevin Durant is still capable of with no Kyrie Irving, no James Harden. He's a big toe away from leading that team to the NBA Finals. Uh, Again, this is no knock to Giannis at all. Kevin Durant is just different, man. Like, at one point in the season, he was what, 53% from 2 point range, from mid range, anything outside of 16 feet. That's unheard of. 52% on anything outside of 16 feet. That's just something that's amazing. And I think in the playoffs, and if you start to notice, he's actually starting to get an even better groove. Once the playoff come, it's gonna be different, man. I think this dude he's on a mission. He's heard all the criticism from the Stephen A. Smiths of the world about he can't lead his own team. I don't care what you say about names and who else is on this team. This is Kevin Durant's team. James Harden understands this is Kevin Durant's team. Kyrie Irving hasn't even dribbled, has just started dribbling the basketball for the for the New Jersey Nets and for the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry, and he understands this is Kevin Durant's team. What we're seeing is something special, and I think that is going to be one of the greatest playoff series of all time. I think the NBA needs to set up a new rule and let that be a 9-game series, because I don't think that 7 games is going to do that series any justice. We need 2 extra games for that shit. But again, I still have Kevin Durant. He is the Slim Reaper. But Giannis is coming, bro. When people talking about this class, the last of the 2003-2004 draft class that has retired, I think LeBron and Carmelo is still the last of that class.
Only 2, yeah.
Yeah, that's the last 2. And it's like, man, it's gonna be a sad day when LeBron leaves. Yes, anytime a great player leaves the league, there's a void. But I think it's gonna be filled very well with these young guys and Giannis leading the charge.
What's your thoughts, Jared?
Man, look, I've been a long time Kevin Durant fan. So, to have Kevin Durant in larger circles, get the respect that he deserves as a player, as a leader. I love it. That being said, confidence is in an NBA player is a hell of a thing, and Giannis never lost it. So all the criticism throughout the playoffs, like once he made it to the finals last year, it didn't even matter if he won it or not, because from that point on, you knew how dangerous he was going to be going forward, because he was already dangerous to begin with. So throughout the playoffs, he's a robber. He's not a bad man. But I mean, we long ago stopped taking sports taste from Big Perk. So calling
Yeah, Big Perk, he was wild for that one. He was definitely wild for that.
calling Chris Middleton the bad man, we already knew was wild enough. But it started to take on legs. You say stuff enough, you say stuff loud enough and long enough, it takes up legs, and you start seeing it on social media. And in the age of social media, the court of public opinion is what matters. So people start talking about during the playoffs. Whole arenas, including the ones in Brooklyn, started having clocks on the scoreboard. The fans started counting down how long he took free throws and stuff like that. And Giannis never shied away from the contact. He never shied away from playing his type of game. And so when he hyperextended his knee before that series, and people were like, okay, is he going to play? Man, look, we're going to the NBA Finals. I'm playing. And he came in from a hyperextended knee and dominated the first game back from that. And that knee went back the whole other direction. And so when he got to that final game in the finals and he put up those numbers, he hit the free throws, he hit the 3-pointers. I said, man, you can't do nothing with the confidence. I still, obviously put Kevin Durant over, but man, Giannis is a unstoppable like player, man, because it's like as much as the shooting is talked about, it's like if you can still give me 40 points officially and you can't shoot, I don't really care if you can't shoot. If you dominate teams and you giving me big numbers, efficient big numbers, I don't care about your jump shot. It's like later in his career, LeBron James became a much better shooter. But early in his career, LeBron James was a great shooter. Did he hit big shot? Yes. Did he knock down free throws? Sure. But he also missed big shots. He also missed free throws in playoff games. It happens. It's not something that he was great at. People used to run whole defense by making LeBron James jump shooter. But he still dominated games if he wasn't shooting well because he 6'9", 250 plus pounds and get to the rim and win. Giannis, damn near 7 feet, 260 plus pounds, and long limbs. That man take 2 steps from the half court and he dunking the ball. And it's like, it's crazy. Giannis is the next, the lead the charge for young players because he what 25, 26. It's like it's about to be crazy. Two league MVPs, a Finals MVP it's about to be wild.
Hey, and I like the fact that you brought up the confidence thing because I said this in the sports group. Um, Giannis' confidence reminds me of LeBron confidence after he won that first championship with Miami. Like after LeBron won that first championship with Miami Heat, he came in the season in the next season, with that weight lifted off his shoulders, playing more smooth, playing like he just played more free. And I think that's what he's actually doing. That's what he's actually doing. And that's what scares me because everybody want to see a Brooklyn Lakers finals. Everybody want to see a Brooklyn Warriors finals. But man, we forgetting about Milwaukee and that team that they have over there. Because I don't know what's their record when Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday all play. I think they just lost like 2 or 3 games or something like that when all three of them play.
They very good.
Very
All
So,
good.
so yeah, I'm looking at Giannis, and I'm looking at if Milwaukee get to the finals and win another finals, we gotta start putting Giannis top 15 conversation. Like,
Whoa. Slow down, my guy. Slow down, my
hey,
guy.
coach,
My guy.
You guys
coach,
definitely gotta put him up there.
you don't think if Giannis win another finals with Finals MVP, obviously he gonna get all NBA first team, maybe all NBA defensive first team again. You don't think he would be a top 15 NBA player of all time?
Bro, did I not tell remember this name? Bob Pettit. Hey man, there's been a lot of he's a top 15 talent. Talent wise, we're not gonna even talk about talent, but I'm talking about player. Okay, let's just look at this. Giannis is classified as a power forward, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's classification. Is he in the same class as Tim Duncan?
No.
Let's be honest. No. Is he
Tim
in the
Duncan
same?
a top 10 player though.
Oh, but hold on. Let's just go down the list. Is he in the same classification as a Karl Malone? Karl Malone has MVP.
I
Karl
think
Malone is a second leading scorer. Was a second leading scorer of all time.
I think
Karl
if
Malone
Giannis win
was a.
another championship,
But I'm just saying. I'm just talking. Let's just call this thing out, right?
okay.
Your boy Dirk is he a Dirk level yet?
No.
All right. Garnett, a guy who is one of MVP and a defensive MVP, just kind of like Giannis. Is he
No.
on that? All right. So at the very minimum, we're talking about he's a top 4, top 5. You know what I'm saying? I'm still with Kevin McHale as one of the greatest power forwards of all time, right? So we're talking about Giannis creeping up into the top 5 power forwards of time, top of at his position. We how can we talk about as just a player? He's top 15.
Okay, so if Giannis wins another championship,
He's
First of all,
definitely top 20. He's definitely a
first of
top 20,
all,
top
first of
25.
all, Kevin McHale. I understand how great Kevin McHale was, but Kevin McHale was never the man on the team. He
Man,
was
it's only because he played with a top 5 player to ever play the
well.
game.
That he is still the fact still remains. He was never the man on the team.
It's hard to be the man when you're playing with a top 5 player of all time. It's hard.
I mean,
That's like Shaq is
Kobe
a
made
top
that
2.
sacrifice. Kobe knew. Kobe made that sacrifice. Like you,
Answer this question: if Shaq and Kobe stays together, as many points and accolades as Kobe, it would never been Kobe's team. Even though we can still consider Kobe a top 10 player of all time, if Shaq and Kobe stay together, let's just say they do another 4 or 5 year run together before Shaq retires, and they put up their same numbers, they put up their same style of play, still win championship, people are still gonna look at that as Shaq's team. Even
Well,
though,
that's
even if Kobe starts
well,
surpassing him as far as talent wise, they would still look at it as Shaq's team.
kind of, and that's only because based on when Shaq got there
Right,
and
right, right.
Kobe being there. So Shaq had already been in the league for a while. He came to the Lakers, what, in Kobe Bryant's second year, third year. It's
nah.
like,
They got there at the same time.
Yeah, Shaq got there in the offseason. They
Shaq and Kobe got
drafted
there at
yep,
the same time.
okay. So it's like you got a young Kobe Bryant that by the time they win the championships, he's now in the starting lineup. He's balling. His playoff numbers, people always talk about Shaq carrying Kobe, whatever. The playoff number will say otherwise because Kobe Bryant definitely held his weight for those 3 championships. It's like, but after those Laker years for Shaq, you got to make the assumption that Shaq stays in shape and still, that guy for the next 5 years if they stay together. Those
Yeah,
next,
and that's the assumption I'm making. I say, of course, we'll never know the truth. I'm just saying if they would
well,
stay
I'm saying, I'm
on that
saying that
same trajectory.
I'm saying that based on people's already questioning Shaq being like willing to stay in that type of shape because I mean by the time Shaq got to the Lakers, he was like bigger, but he could still dominate because he still had the good footwork and stuff like that. But Shaq wasn't in you know tremendous shape because even like those later championships, Shaq had some foul trouble issues, just for this and other things like Kobe Bryant those games and Kobe finished and blah blah blah. But Shaq, it might have been looked at as a Shaq team maybe, but I think you still get more of a Kobe Bryant. This is Kobe Bryant taking the reins type of deal. But like with Giannis, it's like he might not be in that group yet of top 5 power forwards. And once you get, I think in a lot of like position groups, once you get to like the first 3 of who you think is like the top 3 in that group, everybody else you can kind of, change out here and there. People might put KG over Dirk, or people might put, Kevin McHale over whoever. People might put Karl Malone over such and such. It's like, and then point guards, shooting guards, same thing. It's like once you get out of the top 3, then it's about whoever. So I think Giannis can definitely, if he wins another championship and the season goes like he does, when he finishes another All NBA first team, another All NBA defensive
Defense.
team, probably top 3 in both on defense player of the year. It's like if that's the case, and then he goes in and wins another championship, another Finals MVP, then he may not be placed in that top 15, but those conversations start to happen.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like
gonna start to have. I agree with that. Now, again, like I say, as he stands, Giannis is a top 25 player of all time. You can't name 25 players that's just better than Giannis. It's just gonna be hard to do. Once you start getting toward 18, 19, you start looking at shit like, hold on, Ben McAdoo with this guy here. You know what I'm saying? Like you start talking about, hold on, well, am I really gonna do that? But he adds another finals MVP. He definitely submitting that top 20. Man, we throw those rankings around a lot. But man, we got to look at some of these guys that we're talking about in the top 15 NBA players of all time. You got to start looking at, man. They got some guys up there that you looked at and you're like, oh shit, okay, I forgot about this guy. A guy just for for example, a guy like Oscar Robertson that nobody likes to talk about. Like if you go back in Elgin Baylor, a guy that averaged 38 and 15 in the season where he was still in the active duty military. He had to ride buses to games to go put up 38 and 15. You know what I'm saying? We got to think about stuff like that when we talk about just putting people in the top 15. Like that shit's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think after you get like outside the top 5, and even the top 5 becomes the same thing. But once you start getting like lower in lists, it becomes more and more subjective because at some point everybody is splitting hairs. Like, okay, well, we're gonna put Dirk over KG because of this, or we're gonna put Karl Malone over this person because of this. Is it? And then even when we look at like a play like Karl Malone, it's like, is Karl Malone second in scoring because he was just like that, or is it because Karl Malone was able to still give you 15 points a game well into his 30s and play so long? So is it longevity, or is it dominance by a player? It's like,
Exactly.
so it's a lot of splitting hairs. So I mean, once you start getting to like those top 15s, like of course Giannis can dip into the top 15 because everything becomes splitting hairs subjectives, and it's like the stuff that you separated by is just frivolous things like, oh well, such and such has more All-Star appearances. I mean, All-Star games are popularity vote, so I mean, of course such and such might have more All-Stars, but that's the same thing with like the top 75 team. It's like people like Anthony Davis, but the Anthony Davis career accolades, are they the same as Dwight Howard? Probably not. So, people get thrown into these lists, and it's like, who made these lists and why are we having these lists? But I mean, it's important to have them, especially in sports, to kind of separate those people and put their career at a high pedestal. They,
Right, right.
but
I will agree with you that the lists are subjective and they are important to have. So you got to find that happy medium. You know what I'm saying? So
right, it
I
always
agree with
gets
that.
a little tricky, but
Yeah,
everybody likes it. Give you something to talk about.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
All right. Hey, y'all, I want to talk about the Chicago Bulls right quick. Of course, they two-star players, DeMar DeRozan and Zach Levine. We're going to talk about both of them. Let's talk about Zach Levine first. I think the best thing that ever happened to Zach Levine was playing on the Olympic team. Um, Playing on the Olympic team, that was his first time winning 3 games in a row. That's crazy. That's crazy. That was crazy. Well, besides college, in the NBA, since he's been in the NBA, he never won 3 games in a row before he went to the Olympic team. So I
That's
think that
crazy.
did something. I think that did something for his confidence. And people saying DeMar DeRozan MVP, but Zach Levine mean as much as that to that Bulls team as DeRozan. DeRozan. I'm looking at the stats from last night. DeRozan, he went 5 for 16 last night with 15 points. They played a Washington Wizards team. Levine, 27 point shot, 50% from the field. Uh, so is Zach Levine and DeMar DeRozan, do they need to add another piece to that Chicago Bulls team uh, to beat like a Brooklyn Nets in a series, to beat who else? Milwaukee in a series? Do y'all think they need to add another piece? Because I hear Jeremy Grant of trade rumors. I hear other things. Or do you think they good like they are right now? Go ahead, Jared.
First of all, with the Jeremy Grant thing, I feel like that's probably Jeremy Grant wanted out of Detroit more than the Bulls wanted him. I think Jeremy Grant is kind of regretting his decision, taking the money and getting out of Denver and going to a team like Detroit. And now Detroit is the rebuilding dumpster fire. It's like, I don't know who you add for the Chicago Bulls to be like, well, that puts them over the hump. It's like, I guess you can add a power forward of sorts because I know DeMar DeRozan plays the power forward occasionally, especially when they started power forward got hurt or whatever. And so I know DeMar DeRozan gets a lot of power forward minutes. So maybe you can add a power forward, in which case, I mean, do you send out enough contract money to pay Jeremy Grant and have him be at power forward? I don't know if that's reasonable to do. At the beginning of the year and at the end of last year, I was like, they need to trade Kobe White because him and Zach Levine on the floor together, it just didn't work. Like when Zach Levine was out, Kobe White was balling. When Kobe White played with Zach Levine on the same court, Kobe White numbers always suffer. He could never just get it right playing alongside Zach Levine. So him coming off the bench really is helpful to the point where he's now productive and useful, and you don't have to trade him. But I mean, if you want to move on from him, by all means, whatever. I don't know if you really need to trade something. I mean, of course, you go look and see what's available, what's affordable, what makes sense. That you ain't got to give up too much. If you got to give up anything, for real, and try to make your team better, you always want to, try to make your team better as often as you can. But I think the Bulls, do they contend well with the Bucks? Not really, 'cause I just don't think they match up physically with the Bucks. But they're contending already in the regular season with a Brooklyn Nets team who they may not have Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving ain't giving them defense, and that's their biggest problem. They can't stop nobody. So it's like they're contending with teams in the Eastern Conference. Like they number one in the Eastern Conference right now, and it's not just because of record. Like they legitimately out here like balling and looking legit. And so, like I said, I've never seen these players put this production in the playoffs. Zach Levine, I think the biggest thing that helped Zach Levine is when he got traded to Chicago and got hurt, and they was questioning, okay, are we trading him from Chicago and we starting over? And he came back with different drive, and he got on the highlights, and he started being a better jump shooter than he was when he was with Minnesota. And then he went to the Olympic team and gained more confidence and came this season and he's balling. So it's great for Zach Levine. DeMar DeRozan was a perfect piece to help him. I think Chicago is legit. I think they go do their due diligence and look, but I don't think it's a requirement and it's mandated that they need to go make a trade if it doesn't financially make sense. I think they're fine.
All right. Before I get to you, Coach, DeMar DeRozan. Like, first of all, Ben Simmons. I never believed that BS that Ben Simmons had mental health issues. I never believed that. I never believed that, not for 1 second.
Of course not.
DeMar DeRozan, on the other hand, I think I honestly believe DeMar DeRozan when him and Kevin Love had came out, but especially DeMar DeRozan, I think he did have mental health issues, and then he get traded from Toronto, and then and then Toronto wins a championship the year out right after he got traded, and then his daddy passed away. I don't know if y'all knew that, but his daddy did pass away.
Mhm.
So DeMar DeRozan went through a lot, and then to come and have this type of season, like is really impressive. And I always knocked DeMar DeRozan because I thought that he was the reason why Toronto could never get past Miami because he was too much of a LeBron guy. Like he it's okay to respect a player, but he was too much of a LeBron guy. I remember when Toronto they lost against or was it Miami or Cleveland? I think it was Miami. Yeah. Oh no, I think it was Cleveland. And he was like, "Yeah, my team would win too if we had LeBron James." I'm like, bro, like y'all playing against him. Like, why would you
Right.
say
You don't
something
say
like
that publicly.
yeah, why would you say you could think that? Why would you say something like that? And Kevin Garnett had got on him too about that. Like Kevin Garnett was pissed off. Like you know how KG felt about LeBron playing, but Kevin Garnett was real pissed off. So I kind of lost a little bit of respect for DeMar at that time. But these past couple of years and seeing what he went through and seeing where he's at right now, He's actually an MVP candidate. I think that's well deserved. And he, like I said, the Bulls the number one seed, and they could go places. What you think, Coach? Do you think they need to make another move, or do you think they good where they at?
I'm gonna piggyback off you. I always been a fan of DeMar DeRozan. I'm pissed off that he's not a Laker because that deal was actually done. And we ended up with the grand prize of Russell Westbrook. Yay! Um, Also, to piggyback off you, I did believe him and Kevin Love when they talk about mental illnesses, and I never believed Ben Simmons or Paul George when they said they had mental illnesses.
I
So
forgot about Paul George. Yeah, he was full of shit too.
he full of shit. Uh, Now to the question at hand. I owe the Chicago Bulls an apology. At the beginning of the year, I just said it's early basketball. It is what it is. I mean, they're going to run up numbers because it's early season basketball, but they're actually a good basketball team. Well, I've actually placed a few wagers on a couple of Bulls games, so I've got to actually sit down and actually watch them play basketball. So I don't want to hear shit about how Lonzo affects a team. He hasn't been there in a month. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Uh, do I think they contend with the Nets in a playoff series? No. Winning or beating the Nets in the regular season is one thing, but having to go against Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving and beating them 4 out of 7 times is a totally different story. Do I think they can contend with the Bucks? No, I do not think so. After watching them play basketball, and after being a degenerate sports better this year, there's 2 trades that I think that the Chicago Bulls can make, and it would make the world a difference for them. They need a Valanciunas for the Pelicans, or they need Steven Adams. They can't just get up. They do need a power forward in that lineup, but they can't just get any power forward that we're going to want their type of shots. Is going to want the offense to run through them. Steven Adams, if you watch his game this year, I've been so impressed with Steven. We always knew he was a good passer, but when you play with Russell Westbrook, you don't get to play. You don't get the ball in your hands enough to show your skill sets. He's an amazing screener. He knows exactly what to do when the double teams comes there. He has a nice little jump shot. I've been very impressed with Steven Adams this year. Valanciunas has always been a sneaky good guy. He has a 3 ball. He plays great defense. He's a rim protector, and he's another guy. He can handle the basketball, and he's another facilitator. I think if they add those 2 bigs, they can really be kind of scary for a team. They can make it tough on the Bucks. They can make it tough on the Nets. Can they beat them? That's yet to be seen. But I think that they fill that power forward slot with those 2 guys, the guys that understand their role, that understand that the offense is not going to run through them, but they're adept in playing their role, and they fit needs that the Bulls have. Like I say, a toughness, a screen game, another shot maker, another 3-point guy in Valanciunas, and they're both defenders and rim protector guys. I think that would make a world of difference for those guys.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna go and get in to our next topic. I want to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and Moran. Um, Moran was injured for a little while. Memphis had a great record while he was injured. Like it was a great record, and they was beating some good teams too. Then Moran came back. He said they had fans was booing him, and that was the same fans, that was hollering MVP for him. And he felt some type of way about that, which is perfectly understandable. But then these last couple of games, like he been Morant, like he been playing great basketball. Memphis been winning. As a matter of fact, Memphis is number 4 in the Western Conference standings. Do y'all think Morant has made that next step and become actual all-star starter this year? Because I actually voted for him. I voted for him over Luka. I like Morant game better. I think he also commits on the defensive side. I think he's more explosive. He's a great passer. He's a great scorer. His shot has got way better from the regular season last year. You've seen it in the playing game against Golden State, and now you're seeing it this year. So, Coach, I'm gonna start off with you. Do you think Morant is capable of being an all-star starter this year, and you think Memphis is a playoff contender, a playoff pretender?
Hey, see, a few years ago, people told me that I was crazy when I said I would take Morant over Zion Williamson.
I was probably one of those people. I was
I
probably one of
know.
those people.
Listen, hey, listen. It's totally understandable, bro. I knew I was staying on that island alone, but I knew what I saw from this dude at Murray State. He's the biggest thing about John Moran. He's a leader. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's a young guy, those guys actually like listen and follow his lead. They talk about, oh, when he was out, they had a good record. That team is built extremely well. Right, the general manager, the previous general manager, Mark Hollinger, the guy who invented the PER system, he helped build this roster. And I think the guy's name is Max Kleimer or something. Now the general manager now, who's an analytical guy. They built this roster extremely well. They've been great in the draft, so it's not surprising that they built a good team around him. John Moran is becoming scary. Another team I place a sizable wagers on from time to time. A couple of weeks ago, they played the Phoenix Suns. Uh, they went to the game that they were going to blitz John Morant coming off pick and rolls, get the ball out of his hand. There was a few possessions, and that was an 11-point game. And I think Memphis actually lost by 2 down the end, but they should have won that basketball game. It was a couple of bad calls down the stretch. In the second half, the adjustments were made, and you could see John Morant come out, and when they would blitz, and most point guards, when they get the blitz, they get the guy, they get it back to the screener real quick or get the ball out of their hands. John Morant was setting himself, taking a couple of steps back, seeing where the blitz was actually coming from, and attacking the weaker defender and making help come. So now you had 3 guys coming at him instead of 2. His explosion to the cup, his first step is amazing. The layup that he made the other night, where he's going right to left across the lane, there's 4 arms, and he scoops the ball underneath all of their arms and kisses it off the backboard and gets the and one. Now he's adding a 3-point game to his already deep bag of tricks. He's one of the best dribblers in the league. He's a great facilitator. John Moran is becoming that dude. I told boys that I saw a lot in him. I knew that he had that dog in him from jump. He's becoming an all-star. Just is the gift and the curse of being a great guard. The NBA is loaded with guards right now. This is probably the best era of guards that we've probably ever seen in NBA history. Like, you can go 7, 8 guards deep, and you be like, damn, I forgot about this guy. Damn, I forgot about this guy. But John Moran is one of those guys that he's going to be around for a long time. Memphis Grizzlies playing great basketball. Early in the season, they was giving up 118 points per 100 possessions, was putting them like in the middle of the pack. Right now, they're giving up at like 101 per 100 possessions. We got them like 6th or 7th in the league. They play great defense. They're a physical team. Scrappy team. You know, Grizzlies always been that grit and grind system, and now their young guys are starting to develop. The Grizzlies are for real. Now, again, the gift and the curse about being in the West. There's a light skinned guy down there in California that's going to have a lot to say about this, and another light skinned guy that's on his team is going to be healthy. So it's going to be problems for a lot of people. You still got the tandem down in Phoenix, so them losing in the playoffs is not going to be a major disappointment. The West just has a couple of teams out there that just about that business. But going forward, Memphis Grizzlies is going to have a lot to say about who's going to hold up a trophy. I can literally see it 2 or 3 years. I was having this conversation with my partner. In 2 or 3 years, depending how free agency and how things shake out, you can see a Memphis Grizzlies Milwaukee Bucks finals in the future. I think that Ja got next as far as that top tier point guards go. I could be wrong, but again, I stood on that hill a couple of years ago when I said I would take him over Zion Williamson. And so far, like I say, I've been proven right. Also, this is the way he uses Steven Adams. That's why I've been so impressed with Steven Adams. Piggybacking off that last topic I had, John Moran is getting the best out of Steven Adams. And their games kind of like fit perfectly. He doesn't mind letting Steven Adams get the ball in the middle of at the elbow and cutting off Steven Adams. That's how I found out how great a damn passer Steven Adams is. He's not a selfish superstar. Well, budding superstar. Let me say that. He's a star right now. He's a budding superstar. He's unselfish. He doesn't mind who gets the shine, and he wants to win basketball. I've been very impressed with the Memphis Grizzlies, and I expect big things from going moving forward for the future. And Dylan Brooks is going to be a problem for the NBA. I said that 2 years ago. Dylan Brooks is a problem.
Hey, when John Morant, I honestly I thought Zion should have been the number one pick. I think you just don't pass on that type of explosiveness, talent. Like he was the next big. He was supposed to be the next big thing. But I always said that John Moran is a more controlled Russell Westbrook, and I'm glad you brought up that Steven Adams point. Um, that what Steven Adams bring to the Memphis because Russell Westbrook ain't never utilized Steven Adams like that.
Nope.
He utilized Steven Adams to block out guys so he could get rebounds and to pass it to Steven Adams when he'll drive to the goal and 2, 3 defenders come at him. He ain't never utilized Steven Adams like John Morant utilized him. But Jared, what's your thoughts on John Moran and the Memphis Grizzlies?
Man, the same thing I said about Giannis. Confidence in an NBA basketball player is one of the most dangerous things. And John Moran came in the league with it and never lost it, and only getting more and more as the season progressed, as his career progressed. It's like we seen it last year. You know, people talked about a jump shot. He has a weird push shot type of thing going or whatever, but it don't matter what that jump shot look like if it go in. You know, Lonzo Ball, his weird shot wasn't going in. He had to change. LaMelo Ball got a weird shot too, but it go in. If it go in, don't matter. So John Morant is nice, and you know, if people, I don't make arguments against people that took John Morant over Zion. I don't think you still. I still think you draft Zion number one. But if people be like, well, okay, who's going to have the better rookie year? And people is like John Morant, I'm with it. And who's going to have the better career? Who's going to have the better career, like overall? You say John Morant, fine. Because John Morant, one, still relatively healthy. Best ability is availability. And two, he's healthy and producing. Zion was producing when he was healthy, but he couldn't stay healthy. He's still not healthy. And you know, people like to put that on, oh man, because he in New Orleans, which I don't know what that has to do with anything. But I think Zion runs into these problems wherever because and I think Zion just has some. I think he has some yes men around him, or you know, family members or whatever. And you know, he came in the league hurt. He came in the league big. It's a problem. John Morant came in the league with you know, being this skinny point guard or whatever, but also having that thought process like, you know what, I don't care what the body type is. I don't care what the thoughts about my jump shot is, man. Like, I'm coming in there and I'm here to ball. And so I feel some type of way if the crowd started booing me too, because my team that won a handful of games while I was out because they won 7, if I'm not mistaken, since he came 7 straight. Um, since he came back, they lost a few when he came back, trying to get adjusted. Now he got right back, readjusted, and they going on winning streaks. It's like, come on, man. Like for the fans to boo, man, that was ridiculous. But he balling and he's dangerous, and that team is dangerous. It's well put together. Dylan Brooks, I picked him up on fantasy basketball. I love what he's getting for me. Steven Adams is in the best position he could be in to play his game. When he's in New Orleans, it was a weird position for him to be in because he played in Zion, who needed the paint to be productive, and so it never really worked. But he did show signs when Zion was hurt of what he could do. So when he went to Memphis, it's not surprising that he's doing what he's doing. He's setting the hard screens. He's moving the ball from the center position. He's doing great. Memphis is a problem. Memphis is one of those teams that they can surprise you like a Phoenix team, you know. As
Yep.
good as Phoenix was last year, or how good people thought they were. It's like, you know, and some people slated them to make the finals, but most people wasn't like, oh man, it'll be a finals team for real, for real. It was like, oh, they can make the finals, whatever. But you know, another team's gonna beat it. It's like they can be that type of team, you know, if they finish high enough in the rankings where you can avoid a Golden State team early. They got to be in that type of position. You got to avoid teams really. They young and they coming up, so they got to avoid some teams to make it deep in the
Right
playoffs.
now, they will be playing Dallas. Right now, they will be
They could be
playing
that.
Dallas.
It's
They
like
could be Dallas. They could be
Luke,
Dallas.
like Dallas. As much as people talk about Dallas with Luka, they relevant because Luka is like that team is poorly put.
Shit.
Right, that team is poorly put together. First of all,
It
and
is. It is.
it's a bunch of weird pieces that don't fit. It's like some of those players can be productive elsewhere. Maxi Kleber can be productive elsewhere. Tim Hardaway Jr. can be productive elsewhere. Brunson could be productive elsewhere. But collectively, that's a trash team, completely terrible.
It is. I
It's
agree.
it's a lot that go. There's a lot of things that Luka shouldn't do, but it's a lot of things that Luka does that makes the team relevant. And it's like for a crap team, and you putting up numbers and trying to will teams to win. Some of those numbers are gonna be trash because they have a trash team, and so the Porzingis, signing is always a hit and miss every game. Is it he's playing and he's producing, or he's playing and not producing, or he's not playing at all? So there's no consistency with the high dollar trade that you made a couple of years ago to be the guy that's supposed to be next to Luka and supposed to bring this team to the promised land. He's looking real suspect in the light. So they definitely beat the Dallas team. Can they beat top tier teams like a healthy Golden State? Shit, Golden State not even fully healthy yet, and Golden State is a problem. So a healthy Golden State, no. Can they beat a Phoenix team? I don't believe so. There are certain things they can tag on Phoenix and maybe eke out a lucky win and whatever. But I still wouldn't slate them to beat Phoenix team. But they're on their way to being a legit contender and is led by John Moran. I don't want people to get confused that he missed games and they won games and they better. No, they are a better team with John Moran. I hate when people say that when the star plays out and the team wins a couple of games with the star player. No, they're a better team with the star player. That's why he's getting paid off money. That's why he's getting all the attention because he's the star player, man. They're a better team with the star player. And he's their star player, the budding superstar or whatever. Let that man work, and he works.
Hey, I'll piggyback off you right quick, Jared. If they get the 3 seed, I think they can upset the Suns because Ja Morant is gonna walk down Chris Paul's ass. It ain't gonna be no doubt about it because you're gonna have to put. I'm drawing a blank point shooting guard for the
Devin
Suns.
Booker.
Devin Book. You're gonna have to put Devin Book on Dylan Brooks. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have no choice. And especially when they try to go with that 3-guard lineup with John Moran, Dylan Brooks, and Jared Culver. That's my favorite lineup when they come out with Jared Culver at the 3rd guard because that guy, he can ball. He can freaking ball. When they come out with that 3-guard lineup and Chris Paul has to get on John Moran, it's not going to be pretty.
Hey, he gonna walk down Devin Booker too, though. That's the wild.
Yeah. You ain't lying. I'm just talking about for matchup purposes because if you try to put Chris Paul on Dylan Brooks, he gonna give him 40. That's a 40 piece right there.
Yeah, defensively, they could be a problem for Phoenix because Chris Paul is small and old. He ain't keep up with nobody defensively, especially now John Morant. Devin Booker is a scorer, now a defender. He gonna get walked down too. And it's like I like what Bridges is doing, and they made a big deal about that game he had against Steph Curry. But I don't want y'all to be fooled that there's gonna be something that happens throughout a playoff series.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Anybody. It's like when people try to make that what's that boy for Cleveland, man? The little Australian dude that had a good defensive game against Curry in the playoffs, and they was like, oh, the Curry stopper. And Curry was Dellavedova. And Curry didn't even like respond to it in no interviews. It's just the next game and every game afterwards, he made sure to disrespect Dellavedova personally.
And it was got so bad, Dellavedova had to leave the game and go get an IV. Steph Curry ran his ass in the ground so much.
That man took it a personal. The Curry stopper, you say? Gotcha. So John Morant go do that to whoever in the playoffs. Be like, oh man, take a stop, John Morant. Bet.
Good luck with that.
Hey, I want to talk to both of y'all about this next topic because I know y'all both Kobe guys. I know y'all see the post on the screen. Coach, I think you commented on it. Matter of fact, you commented on my list. But before we get to my list, I want to talk about this post. Daily reminder: Kobe was never top 5 in the NBA. Now, me personally, I got Kobe at number 7 when we talk about greatest of all time. I got him at number 7. But to say that he was never top 5 in the NBA, like there've been plenty of seasons where Kobe was 2, was 1, was 3, but never top 5. I'm gonna start with you on this one, Coach. How many? When was the Kobe era? When was he top 5 in the NBA? When did it start? When did it end?
Kobe Bryant from the year 2001 until about 2007 was a consistent top 5 NBA player. If you go back to that 2000, I go back to the start of it. That was the 2000 Western Conference Finals against Portland Trailblazers. I remember that game like it was yesterday. Shaq goes to the bench with his 5th foul. The Lakers are down 11 at the start of the game. Portland goes on a 4-point run. They are down 15 points just at the start of the 4th quarter, and Kobe Bryant scores 21 of the Lakers' 24 points. Everybody remembers the lob at the end of the game, but I asked people, if the lob was so important, why were 3 defenders running at Kobe Bryant? Because he walked down Damon Stoudemire's ass. He gave
Scottie
Pippen,
Pippen.
son. He gave Bonzi Wells, son. He did everything in that series to bring the Lakers there. The following series when they go and play the Philadelphia 76ers in that final in the 2001 NBA Finals. People forget Kobe averaged almost 30 on 50% shooting while doing a pretty decent job guarding Allen Iverson, one of the best scorers the NBA has ever seen. So from 2001 until about 2008, 2009, I think Kobe Bryant was by far a top 5 player. I think between 2001 and probably about 2006, you could make a case that Kobe Bryant was the best basketball player walking the planet at the time. He could do everything scoring. He was a lockdown. People talk about, oh, he was never a lockdown defender. That's bullshit. Kobe was a lockdown defender, and he took the toughest defensive task every single night. He had some of the highest basketball IQs. Now, don't get me wrong. Kobe's a shooter, so he's going to have his 9 for 22 nights. But there's been many games where Kobe starts off 9 for 21, and in the 4th quarter, he goes 7 for 8 and lead the Lakers to an NBA title. He's averaged 30 points a game. He's been top 5 in steals. He has been a consistent top 5 better part of a decade. Now, all-time ranking, I'm with you. July, I give Kobe Bryant between that 7 to 9 range, depending on who you put there. But to say that Kobe was never top 5 in the NBA, that just shows either one or two things: either you're just a hater of Kobe Bryant, which is understandable. Those Kobe and LeBron guys always try to denigrate. Those LeBron and Jordan guys kind of denigrate what Kobe did. Oh, he's just a carbon copy of Kobe. Well, if I want to be the best and I actually get to see the best, why would I not emulate being the best? That never registered me. That's just the dumbest thing in the world. What famous rapper doesn't want to be like a Jay-Z? What famous composer doesn't want to be like Mozart? What famous painter doesn't want to be like Rembrandt and Basquiat? That always blew my mind. So he wanted to be like Jordan. Well, why would I want to be the best? That just never registered to me. But to say that he was never top 5, that again, you're either just a hater or you don't understand the game of basketball. Me and you agree with this thing that I think Kobe Bryant is the most skilled NBA player to ever play basketball, from footwork to jump shots to the ability to score, the ability to defend, IQ of the game. If you put all those packages together, I think Kobe Bryant is the most skilled player to ever play in the NBA. He may not, and again, he's been top 5 numerous times. He's been top 1, and like I said, I have him right outside of the top 5 as far as NBA greatest of all time. I slapped my head at you when I saw your list because
I'll put it up.
because you say Bron has finally taken over. My guy, he hasn't. you talk about how impressive that old boy hadn't won 3 games in a row since he's been in the NBA. Jordan never lost 3 games in a row in his NBA career. That's pretty more impressive. Every accolade.
In the championship years, he
No,
never
no,
lost
go back and look at it. Jordan's never lost 3 games in a row.
in
That
his
didn't
career.
happen. That he played in. Now the Bulls may have lost if he didn't suit up, but in Jordan's playing career, he never lost 3 games in a row.
I
Also,
don't know. I'm gonna have to look at the earlier
go
years.
go pull
I'm
that
gonna
up.
have to look.
Go pull it up. I say. Not earlier years. Uh, again, Jordan ran his second second year in the league, broke his foot. Understandable. His third year in the league, he missed 11 games due to a shoulder injury. So can't count the injured time. I'm talking about when Jordan suited up and played.
And you
And when I
can't
talk
count the times he got swept in the playoffs. That's what Ace
and
Thirty said.
we're talking about regular season basketball here, guys. We all know what happened those early years in the playoffs. We all know about that. But also all the accolades that Jordan has accomplished, from being the only player in NBA history to win all 5 major awards, Rookie of the Year, All-Star, Defensive MVP, regular season MVP, Final MVP, the first sweeper of that award, one of only 3 guys to win the offensive MVP and defensive MVP in the same season. All of those Jordan did in less than 1,000 games. All the accolades that LeBron has been in over 1,300 games. So he's literally done more in less time. I mean, I just can't. That GOAT title right there, that's kind of unassailable for me. But the fact that you don't have Larry Joe Bird, the last man to ever win 3 consecutive MVPs, with Dr. J in the league, that you have on this list, with Michael Jordan that you have on this list, with Magic, with all those guys in the league at the time, he's the last man to win 3 consecutive MVPs. Hey man, if that guy's not in your top 5, I don't know what to tell you, baby. What we doing?
First, let me get to this COVID. Let me get to the COVID thing. Yeah, I agree with you. If everybody could be like Michael Jordan, everybody would be like Jordan. Like if you could be like Jordan, like if it was that easy to be like Jordan, you're gonna be like him. So people
Facts.
saying Kobe is a carbon copy of Jordan. If you pick Jordan over Kobe, fine, but you can't hold that against Kobe that he's a carbon copy of Jordan, because if it was easy to be Jordan, everybody would be Jordan. Like, so yeah, and like I said, we do stand on the same side when we both agree that Kobe is the most skilled player ever to play this game. When you talk about shooting, when you talk about Kobe, very underrated passer. When you talk about defending, scoring at all 3 levels, like people talk about, and no disrespect to Kareem, but people say that Kareem is the greatest scorer ever because he got the most points. Nah, I disagree with that. To me, a great scorer is you can score everywhere on the court. You don't need another player to get you the ball to score. Like that's what I think a great. That's what I think a great score. When I think about great scores, I think about Kobe. I think about Jordan. I think about Durant. I think about Tracy McGrady. I think about Melo. That's what I think about when I think about great scores. And like Jordan, I think by the time Jordan was started winning championships, I think Kobe, both of them players didn't have a weakness in their game. So, and but I do think Kobe was a little bit more skilled than Jordan. That's why I say he's the most skilled player. And the reason why I think Kobe was more skilled than Jordan, because he came after Jordan, he made everything a little better. And if you've been watching the NBA as long as I have been watching, you want the NBA to get better. You want the NBA to have a better player than when I first started watching it, Jordan. You want the NBA to eventually have a more skilled player than Kobe, a better player than LeBron. You want to see the NBA evolve. That's what's so great about the NBA, that it does evolve. So when people say the NBA was tougher in the 90s and the 80s, whether that's true or not, I know it is true. The NBA has more talent right now. It has more talent than back then. But get back to Kobe. Yes, I definitely has Kobe as the more skilled player. Um, when you talk about Jordan the GOAT, you know how long I was on that bandwagon that Jordan was the GOAT. I was on that bandwagon for a long time. What made me get off it, that I do give LeBron the edge. Um, it's about longevity to me. Like this, like when Jordan came back, he was 38 years old, right? When he came back to the Wizards. LeBron just turned 37, and this dude is playing out of his mind right now. I'm not gonna say he carrying the Lakers. No, he not carrying the Lakers because the Lakers got players. The Lakers do have players that could pick up the slack in scoring. Unlike last year in the playoffs when they played the Suns. But LeBron is currently the third best. I got LeBron the third best player in the league right now after Kevin Durant and Giannis. 37 years old. It is 19th season. He do have 4 championships. He do have 4 Finals MVPs, but which is 2 less than Jordan. He has the most All NBA first teams. He's been on All NBA defensive teams. I mean, you put LeBron on the team. He at least makes them a championship contender. Not saying he's gonna win the finals, but he makes them a championship contender. And I think the longevity is his strongest case, and that's the case I'm gonna use. Like the way LeBron is playing right now, you might get another good 1 or 2 more years of him being a top 5 player in the league. And LeBron, he's going to pass up Karl Malone and being the number 2 scorer in the NBA this season. He's going to pass him up this year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And when you and like I said for Chris Paul is the only player in NBA history that has over 20,000 points and over 10,000 assists. LeBron, right now LeBron is top 3 in scoring. I think he's top 10 in assists right now, or top 15 in assists?
I think he's top 15 for sure. I don't know how far he's crept up to. I don't know how far he's creeped up to the top 10.
Yeah, but so LeBron, like when it comes to all phases of the game, when you talk about scoring, when you talk about passing, he's definitely not the same defender he once was.
Right.
But he's a decent rebounder. I just think that's enough to put him ahead of Jordan, if not at least on the same level where you could say LeBron 1B and Jordan 1A.
I agree. I put him in the same tier, but you use the longevity aspect, which again, I respect the longevity aspect, but it was a different game at the time. They didn't have the technological advances. If you gave Jordan the reason why he broke his foot because they was playing with no soles in their damn shoes at that time, they had to redefine how think about the technological advances in tennis shoes that Jordan brought to the game. If you back in the day, if you played 13 years in the NBA, man, you had a hell of a career. Now, you know what I'm saying, you got guys that's in year 18, 19, year 20 in the NBA. It's just the longevity it's just a total difference. But again, you played longer and you still haven't accomplished the same thing that I've accomplished. That again, that's not a knock on Bron, because I still think Bron is a top 5 player. But I can't give him that GOAT status because even though you've played way longer than MJ, log more minutes, log more actual game time, you still haven't reached the accomplishments. You talk about LeBron was a pretty good defender. You know what I'm saying? I always thought LeBron defense was a tad overrated. Not saying that he was a bad defender, but it was a tad overrated. You understand? Jordan was the league MVP when it came to defense. He was a defensive MVP. You know what I'm saying? Jordan, like everybody talk about Jordan passing. Jordan was an underrated passer. There's an 11-game stretch where Jordan had to play point guard and he averaged a triple-double. That just shows you the versatility to MJ's game. There isn't an award that he hasn't. Think about it. Jordan even had dunk contests to his resume. The accolades that Jordan has in under 1,000 games. I didn't believe in myself when I had to look up actual playing. Even though he played 15 years in the league, he still played under 1,000 games. Second point, you talk about at LeBron at 37, he's second in the league in scoring. At 38 years old, after a 2-year retirement, Jordan came back and still played all 82 games. He's still the oldest player in NBA history to score a 40-point game, the oldest player in NBA history to score a 50-point game, the oldest player in the NBA history to score average 20 points a game. So he not only has accolades in his prime, but he, as an old man, he still has his name in the record books as an old man. I think he's the oldest man to make an All-Star game, him and Kareem Kareem, I think, tied at 39 and a half years old. But I look, when we talk about greatest, y'all splitting hairs here when you talk about 1A and 1B. I always go look at, when we determining like the greatest of all time, I look at primes. And prime for prime, Jordan is almost unmatched when it comes down to production and what he did and his dominance on the court. Let me correct myself before I know you're gonna correct me. Jordan did lose 3 games early in his career. The actual record is it's a 9.5 year window that Jordan went 626 games without losing 3 games in a row. That equates to 9 NBA seasons. The closest person after Jordan is 314 games without having 3 losses in a row. That's a span of 312 games, which is the equivalent to 4.5 NBA seasons. And second on that list is Steph Curry.
Oh wow. Hey, nah, I agree. Hey, that 82 game playing 82 games a season. I seen a meme. That's a real underrated go part of Jordan GOAT argument. The playing 82 games a season. Because when he came back from that first retirement, the 96 season, 96, 97, no, 95, 96, 96, 97, 97, 98. He played all 82 games, all 3 of those seasons.
Great.
Like that was crazy. That was crazy. All right, Jared, let me hear from you, Jared. Let's talk about Kobe first. Where do you have Kobe? Uh, how long was he a top 5 player in the NBA? And let's talk about my list I got up here.
Oh, similar to to James' comment about your list. I don't even want to talk about your list, man. I'm looking at this list like, man.
Didn't I
Oh,
say let's talk about Kobe first?
so let me tell you, I just wish people would let Kobe Bryant rest in peace. Like, Jesus Christ. Y'all, like, people in the group telling folks, like, man, he was never a top 5 player in the league. Man, look, from into what Coach was saying, from 2001 to 2006, 7, them years, whatever, it's like, name me a player who was better. Name me a player, because Kobe Bryant was making playoff runs. He was winning championships. He was facing some of the best teams in the NBA and winning. He was guarding some of the best players at the time and locking them down. It's like Kobe Bryant got what, 12 all defensive team, 9 first team. He like ties, I think, Tim Duncan for the most all defensive teams
Nah,
in the
Tim Duncan got
NBA.
15. Tim
He's
Duncan
tied
got
with
15.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan for most first team of all time as a guard.
It's like, well, I'm talking about like overall. They
Now
all
Tim
up
Duncan
there.
got 15. Tim Duncan got 15.
15.
I'm talking about defensive.
Yeah, Tim Duncan got 15. All defensive
That's why I
first team.
said as a
All
guard.
defensive teams
So
in general. Tim Duncan
my
got
thing,
15.
my thing is Kobe Bryant was the defender in those early 2000s lockdown defender. That's not a lot of, as great as defenders are in present day, or people want to look at as defenders are in present day. Even the best defenders in the NBA, they don't lock down players anymore. They don't guard the best player the whole game anymore. It's like they have big defensive stops, or they have a string of possessions where they stop the best player. So, their defense is looked at as top tier because of those, minor things and so forth and so on. But like in those early 2000s when you had like scores, it's like, man, Kobe Bryant was putting clamps on people as far as defense. Then he was getting to the playoffs and winning, putting up the numbers. Shaq gets hurt or Shaq gets foul trouble. Kobe Bryant finishing games, coming back from deficits and winning. So he's definitely was top 5. You look at where Kobe Bryant from 2001 or from mid 2000s up until injuries started to happen in like 2000, like real injuries started happening like 2012, and when Kobe Bryant was still finishing top 5 in MVP voting, even when people wasn't talking about Kobe Bryant that year, he was still finishing in top of the MVP voting. It's like so Kobe Bryant was relevant for those years, top 5 in those years. So to say that, like I said, all time list is subjective. We can talk about all day who I pick, who I put here, who I put there. I don't go into those arguments. I will say though, to something both of y'all mentioned, it's like longevity is a thing, and the top 2 scorers in the NBA are in the top 2 scorer a lot because of longevity. It's like Kareem played a lot of years. Um, Karl Malone was in his late 30s, still giving you 15 points a game. It's like they were still producing later in their careers. It's like I see all these posts now that, LeBron James is going to be the youngest to do stuff, and he's going to be the oldest to do stuff. Man, like LeBron James came in the league at 18. He didn't go to college. It's like, so there's a lot of things he's going to be the youngest at because he came in the league, he's producing. That's great. But he did it at 18, and he didn't go to college, so he's young. So even if other players come in the league present day and do the same thing LeBron James did, they're not going to do it at the younger age because they might have went to a year of college. They might have went to 2 years of college, so they're not 18 anymore. LeBron James, and I think Coach mentioned this, is like, it's a lot to be said about present day technology and medicine and stuff like that. It's like just the way shoes are made now. If somebody's flat-footed, if somebody has a low arch, if somebody has back problems, they can give you an insole. You can go to a specialist and they can make you special insoles that's supposed to help your back and your knees and your joints if you're flat-footed. I know this because I'm flat-footed. It's like, just the present day. So it's like that's not taken away from what LeBron James is doing, but it's present day technology. You're able to sustain this because LeBron James spends a lot of money on his body, which is great. Diets. I seen this YouTube video about how he lands a certain way when dunking, so he doesn't put as much impact on his knees, and so forth and so on. It's like, but to make posts that Kobe Bryant was never a top 5 player in the NBA, that's just a hating statement to make, and we need to start taking sports takes from that guy too. And it's like, and then it's like to your list, Kenny. It's like, dog, I know you've been on the Jordan wagon for a long time. Even like the points you made is like, it's great that LeBron James has no accolades, but does he have those accolades over Jordan? Defense. Oh man, LeBron James got small defensive teams, but does he have them? Does he have as many as Jordan? Was he playing as good a defense as Jordan? The answer is a resounding no. To the point where people talk about now, like as a defensive stat, man, look how LeBron James has all these chase down blocks. And it's like, I get that's a highlight thing to me. That's not really a thing that you measure. It's like if somebody come running from behind, I'm not expecting somebody to come running from behind me if I think I got an open layup. So if you get a chase down block, that's great for you. But I mean, does that mean that a player is a great defender and they come with a chase down block? It means they're a tremendous athlete. It's great that they caught up with you. That's amazing, especially at this age, at this point in his career. Phenomenal. But it doesn't put you, he ain't got no all defensive player, the defensive player of the year.
Bigger. Hey, not to cut you off. I just saw a comment from A30 that said that LeBron has a bigger impact towards winning, but he has more losses in the final. How does he have more bigger impact toward winning and Jordan never lost in the finals? I don't understand that. That statement is just not smart. How you have bigger impact to a win and you lost more than me? That doesn't make
So
sense.
it's like comments like that. It's like that's why people who are not LeBron James fans, they don't even want to give LeBron James credit for things because ridiculous statements are made for LeBron James. It's like he has the accolades that you don't need to exaggerate. You could just say his accolades and they're great. Stand alone. You don't have to give some ridiculous stat. Oh, he's the first player on a sunny day in August to like, no, you don't need to do any of these things to exaggerate what LeBron James has done or what LeBron James is doing because you could just say the statement and it's great. I've seen this video with I think George Hill and Rick Bucher and some other people, and they was talking about MVP voting or whatever. And it was like, well, LeBron James is this and blah blah blah. You need to be in conversations like, okay, but he can be in a conversation like number like 5 or 6. Like you can't put him over players who have been doing this all year and are tops in the NBA. If Steph Curry numbers, oh well, his numbers have taken a dip. They still are winning games. They're still at the top of the Western Conference. Kevin Durant, they're still at the top of the Eastern Conference. DeMar DeRozan, they're still at the top of the Eastern Conference. It's similar to when Giannis won his first MVP. And the narrative on the second half of the season was James Harden needs to win. But the thing that people kept glossing over in that season was James Harden had a terrible first half of the season. He played awful. The numbers were terrible. They were losing games. It was not good. But he had a resurgence in the second half. But Giannis did it all season. So you can't discredit somebody who spent the whole season dominating because somebody you like is having a good, second half. So the Lakers are playing well the last couple of games. But just 2 weeks ago, LeBron James was averaging ridiculous numbers, and it was like 1-5. So you have to keep that same energy for everybody. And people be like, well, he's 37 doing this. That makes it impressive. That makes it extremely impressive. That at 37, he's putting up those numbers. But you can't, that's great LeBron James on the curve because he's 37 doing it. That's great. But you can't judge LeBron James on the curve when it relates to the whole league. So MVP becomes whole league wide. Who else is doing other things? If somebody else is putting up just as good as numbers and their team is winning, I tend to lean towards that person. It's like Russell Westbrook won MVP over James Harden, even though James Harden was averaging 1 rebound less than a triple-double that year, and their team was in the top of the Western Conference, and OKC was in the bottom of the Western Conference, but he won MVP that year because he did something that nobody has done since Oscar Robertson. He averaged a triple-double for the season. You couldn't pass that up, give him MVP, because nobody's ever done this before, even though players were doing better and playing better and had better seasons and their team was playing better. But, nobody's done this before, so we're going to give it to him. So overall, I don't do the whole all-NBA list because it's all subjective. People might put Magic this high or Kareem this high. I will say this, though. Watching I'm 28 years old, so my memory of Jordan is mostly from the Wizards. But watching enough highlights and watching the last thing just reaffirming what people kept always saying about Jordan. He was still undisputed as the number one great of all time. You can put whoever you want after that, fine. But Jordan did things early in his career, in the middle of his career, and later in his career that at that point, before modern medicine that we have now, people were not doing. He played 82 games at 38 with the Wizards. He was still putting up numbers. The fact that he's a shooting guard and his career shooting percentages, even after playing those years with the Wizards at that age, are still as high as they are. I don't know what his career shooting average is, but much
49.1%.
so for a shooting guard, because you think shooting guards and guards in general. So that's why when I see stuff like Curry shooting numbers, it's like these are jump shooters. Their percentages, they usually hover around 44, 45%. That's probably the average shooting guard numbers. Kobe Bryant, I think career was like 44%. James Harden, I think, is hovering around 45%. People who shoot the ball as like jump shooters, shots just don't fall. That's why it's so ridiculous that Kevin Durant is primarily a jump shooter and he's still shooting 50 something percent from the field because you're not supposed to be able to do
Just not. And
that.
that's why I got to correct myself. It's not 49.1, it's 49.7. Jordan is almost a 50% career shooter and averages 30 a game. People don't realize that part. He
Hey,
averaged 30 for his career.
hey, and
30.
the only reason they went under 50 because he played for the Wizards.
Exactly.
Before he came back, he was over 50, and he
That
was
Yeah,
at 31 points. He was averaging over 31 points per game for his career.
exactly.
that's
That's
absurd. And Michael Jordan shot the ball. So it's not like he was just taking a bunch of layups and dunks. After a while, it's like, no, Jordan was still getting to his spots and shooting it. And so to have that as a shooting guard, to shoot that high of a percentage, where the league average got to be 45%, maybe, to shoot that much and average 30 points a game while spending the last 3 years of your career coming back out of retirement and spending 3 years of your career old, a little bigger, playing for a bad team, and you go out there and still your shooting percentages don't suffer drastically, like there's like people assume they're supposed to, that's absurd. That's crazy. And it's like, so to know what I know about Jordan and his Bulls days and to watch him personally and being old enough to watch him with the Wizards and still be able to get to his spots and shoot the ball like he was, that's crazy. That's nobody's doing that. And even like the amazing part about LeBron James is the fact that he can still get to the rim the way he does at his age, but it's still him getting to the rim. That's what keeps the percentage high. He can hit jump shots. Great. Wonderful. He's done it. We've seen it in several games. We know he can't. But it's his bread and butter. It's still getting to the rim. So the fact that at this age, it's impressive. They get to the rim the way he does. But it's still him getting to the rim. It's the shooting percentages having this high. Jordan shooting damn near 50% for a career being a jump shooter.
Hey, and you know what? The thing that kills me too is the inconsistency with the argument. Everybody, well, at 38 and 37, MJ was a shell of himself. Okay, well, let's look at age 36. Last year, when LeBron was 36 years old, they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Phoenix Suns. When Jordan was 36, he was the MVP of the league. He won a finals and hit the game-winning shot in the finals to be in finals MVP. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say just, oh, look at this without looking at
Right.
this.
You can't
Jordan's
use
peaks are just higher than anybody's peaks we've ever seen in
you
the
can't
NBA.
use age
Hold on to play. Hold on to play. Yeah, Jared, you absolutely right. You can't do age for age when it comes to Jordan and LeBron because LeBron he got 3 years on Jordan. But coach, just to play devil's advocate,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan was retired at age 36. He did that at age 35. I'm a huge
Yeah,
Jordan
you're
fan.
right. You're right. I'm sorry. 35 turning 36. You're right.
But yeah, I never did the age for age with LeBron and Jordan because of the fact that LeBron had a 3 year NBA start. He came in at 18, Jordan came in at 21 or whatever. So
right.
yeah, I never did the
I
age
don't
for age.
I don't
But
do
like
age for anybody because it's like for a player like Kareem or something. Kareem dominated college basketball. He went to college. It's like and dominated there. It was like so by the time he got to the league, he was older. A lot of players went to college, and you know, the one and done thing wasn't always the thing. So people went to college for a couple of years and then came to the league at 20, 21, 22 is like the fact LeBron James came in the league at 18 and put up the numbers he did, great. But he came in at 18, so you can use time, and that's still kind of relative. 5 years to 5 years. That still depends on where that person was in their career. But doing age directly is always a slippery slope.
And I'm glad you brought up that point, July, about what a great score is. That's all that post I was making about LeBron, you know what I'm saying, the other day when all the LeBron people put on their cape and came to fly to the rescue. When I just said LeBron isn't a great scorer. He accumulated a lot of points, but that doesn't mean he's a great scorer. A great scorer can score in a multitude of ways from different levels on the court. That's all I was saying. It wasn't to denigrate what LeBron was saying.
Correct.
To piggyback off Jared was saying, the last 3-4 years of Karl Malone's career, he wasn't a force. He wasn't dominant, but he gave you 15 and 16 points a game for the last 3 or 4 years of his career. Even that year he played with the Lakers when he was a shell of himself, he still put up 14 points a game, and that adds up. That added to his total. But that wasn't to talk down on LeBron. That's just to say LeBron is not a great scorer, but he scores. He scored it. He's a great basketball player. And that adds to his accolades.
All right, yeah, I get what you're saying because just like Westbrook, he gonna have a lot of assists, but
he's not a great facilitator.
Yeah, he's not a great
facilitator. No.
So yeah, I absolutely get what you're saying. You got something else to add, Jared?
Nah, that's my 2 cents about it.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, I just want to make a couple of announcements. Hey, if y'all want to come on the podcast tomorrow, the NFL podcast at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, it's gonna be. I'm gonna have a couple of people on here because it's the last week of the regular season. We're gonna be talking about MVP. We're gonna talk about Coach of the Year. We're gonna talk about offensive rookie, offensive player of the year. We're gonna be talking about all that. We're gonna talk about the games, who needs to win to get in the playoffs, who needs to win their division, who needs to win to get the first seed in the AFC. Because of course the NFC that's already wrapped up. Just saying,
yeah.
That's already wrapped up.
Bow and a ribbon, huh? Wrapped up, bow and a ribbon.
But yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot on the NFL podcast tomorrow. Next, what I got posted on the screen about I told y'all earlier in the show about the Sports Debaters 3rd annual award show. I just got Winslow cipher. I got Alex Owens cipher. I'm about to go listen to him in a few to see what, and I gotta go edit. Do the editing. But yeah, make sure if y'all know anybody, I'm about to make a post in the group. Any rappers in the group, please tag them in the post I'm about to make to send me their ciphers because this award show is gonna be the funniest. It's gonna be the best award show. Like it's gonna have a lot. Of course, I put my favorite cipher of all time with Eminem and Joe Budden and Royce and all them boys when all them boys killed it. Y'all go check it out if y'all get a chance. But yeah, that's it. Any of y'all got anything to add?
To end it off, I like to say, because I watched this game yesterday, the Knicks suck, Boston suck worse. They both terrible Eastern Conference teams that played terrible basketball yesterday. I hate the fact that they put it on TV. Boston is a dumpster fire, and New York is also a dumpster fire. And Julius Randle might not be there next year because paying him the type of money that his position goes in is probably not in the best interest of the year. But overall, they suck in the Eastern Conference, and they deserve everything that's coming to them.
All right, Coach, you got anything to add?
Nah, man, it was great being here, man. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one.
All right, man. Y'all have a blessed one. Hey, Jared, I don't know if I ever told you, but congratulations on the house purchase, man.
Appreciate it.
Man, congrats, baby. Big homeowner in the building. Big stepper.
Not too crazy.
All right, man. Y'all have a blessed one, fellas.
Is that an elevator I see? God damn.
You're wild. Y'all be cool.
All right, fellas.